great. Welcome everyone to the first PowerUp Meetup in 2021. We made it to the new year finally. So cool that so many of you already have joined the call. Today we have again a really cool program up our sleeves. So more to the program in a short while. Maybe Tero, if we go to the next slide.
Yep.
Quickly about ourselves. So my name is Jussi. I'm a jack of all trades at Habit. Also Microsoft MVP for a while right now, and do also pro side change management as well, among other things. And together with me, the host, Terho. Terho, a few words about you.
Yeah, I'm a consultant working at Cloud-Driven, focusing on Microsoft technologies lately, very much on Power Platform related stuff and Azure. I'm a developer at heart and love to code.
Great. Yeah, last time you showed a pretty cool demo. I think more
but that was
of
without
that
coding though.
It was without coding, but close to that maybe. Yep. We will put our sessions to YouTube. So if you have missed last time, there is a YouTube channel. We will share the link as well in here and also in social. So if you have missed last time, there was a really cool session from Ahmad Nayyar as well. And the other was from Terho, where there was a demo about Power Automate and Power Automate Desktop and Power Virtual Agents. Okay, but let's go forward.
So, so we have this user group playbook, just to remind everyone that sharing is caring, and we would love to have people present stuff. If they want to present something cool that they have implemented or anything at all, just contact me or Jussi, and we will find a slot for that topic. It's all about Power Platform and Dynamics 365 and Microsoft 365 here. So a wide range of technologies fit into our sessions. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I think I said that also the last time, but then I realized that I had force mute on the Teams, so maybe asking the questions wasn't so easy after all. Anyways, you can shout out or you can type your questions in the chat of this meeting. If you don't have anything to say, just keep your mic muted. And like Jussi said, we will be recording also this session, so you can get back to it later on in YouTube. Okay, Jussi.
Yeah. So something about this meetup, it has been evolving from the Dynamics user group Finland. The PowerUp Meetup evolved from there, and we are also very close working together with Teams Finland. So today we have Vesku here from Teams Finland, the father of that, plus also Fruits Book Fee, which is led by Katja Jokisalo and Olli Äskeläinen mainly. So there is also here in this slide, you can see next Monday is the next community call from Teams Community Finland call, and 1st of February, the next Spook Fee event. Okay, but let's jump now forward to the topics of today so that we don't steal too much time. So first of all, we have Tomasz talking about process discovery tools. So extremely interesting topic. So thanks, Tomasz, for helping out here, and greetings to Warsaw. And after Tomasz' session, we have Vesku talking about Teams and bots. But let's get started then. So Tomasz, the floor is yours.
Right. So yeah, thank you. I'm really happy to be with all of you. I would of course prefer to be in person, but oh, sorry, I clicked not the right icon. But well, we just have to wait until this pandemic is over. And so before I start, how many of you have already heard about the Power Process Advisor tool from Microsoft? You can just like put your hands up, or, you know, +1 on chat. There are many of those hands. That's cool. All right. So before I really start to demoing the tool, I just wanted to tell you that when the customers are asking about the RPA tools or any other robotic automation platforms, one of the questions, especially when you enter this enterprise, the enterprises level, is that if this tool has something to help them as organizations to discover processes, to understand better the processes, to find like the bottlenecks, to understand how many participants and how much time does it take, like how much FTE can we save once we transform this particular process into RPA, and so on, so on. So this kind of questions regarding the discovery of the processes is, at least from my perspective, from my experience, a very repeatable and common. Also, the second question that very often appears, which we are not going to talk about today, but just keep that in mind, is about the monitoring and about logging. So that's also something that Power Automate Desktop has already been given. And there are a couple of more questions, like, for example, the integration with OCR and the information about, the last thing I wanted to tell you, gosh, I just forgot it. So yeah, the OCRing, the discovery, the monitoring, the logging. So all these aspects about the RPA are very commonly being mentioned by the enterprise level customers who want or who are considering to use either, for example, Blue Prism or Power Automate Desktop in their premises. And so with Power Automate Desktop, like ever since it appeared, it was actually missing this kind of functionality that would help companies to understand better the processes that are actually present in their premises. Of course, Microsoft, at the moment when they announced the Power Automate Desktop, they said, hey, that's not a problem. We have this, let's say, partnership with Fortress IQ company. But behind that, there was no actual benefit for Microsoft customers. So we were not given better prices. We're not given better services. Like, we were just regular customers for Fortress IQ, and there was no even integration between the outcomes of Fortress IQ processing and their discovery and the Power Platform. But from what I learned at that moment is that Fortress IQ is quite powerful solution that helps really to discover processes. And so, speaking about this discovery, we have two terms that we describe the tools that are on the market. So there is like the process mining tool and process discovery. The difference between them is that the process mining actually helps the customers, helps the companies to find out that, oh, there is a process, and like hundreds or maybe not hundreds, thousands of users are doing the same repeatable task. So yes, this can be called a process, and that can actually be automated. So process mining is more to actually find out that there are actually processes that can be automated. When talking about the process discovery, on the other hand, these are the tools that are mainly used in under the circumstances that the company already is aware that there is a process, but they want to somehow discover it better, understand it better, find out more information about it. And the process advisor that Microsoft has added just by the end of this year, last year, is a process discovery tool. It's not a process mining. So it will not help you to actually find new processes in your IT landscape. Maybe accidentally you will be able to discover something, to mine something, but this is more to help you understand that you do have a process, you know where it is present, and then you want to understand it better. And so, having this introduction after me, how much time do I have? 15 minutes, circa. Let me show you how it works. So first, like another argument why this is a process discovery, not a process mining, is that this is all around the processes. So the first step that the owner of the process who wants to learn something new has to do is actually to go to the Process Advisor tab and then hit the Create. And right from here to start creation of the new process. And that's pretty easy. So you just have to give it a name and then a couple of words of description. And then once you save it, so like, just call it whatever, but the point is just to have it. And so once this process is done, what can then be done is either the process owner is going to record, for example, his own approach, like how that person is completing this process, or this can be shared. So right then, once the process is created, you can go under the processes area, and here you have the listing of all the processes that have been created. And then going into, well, specific of them, you have the information about when it was created, how many recordings are there, what are the recordings, with whom it is shared, is it analyzed or not? I'll tell you just in a moment what does it mean that the process is analyzed. And now here's the important thing, so you can manage with whom you want to share. So here you can find actually other users, like I hope that Adele wants. There is well, an issue with this sharing here. But by the way, anyway, you should be able to find here other members of your company and simply share this process with them. So they will be invited to enter this process in Process Advisor. It's very similar to what you know from PowerUp's sharing. And so then every person with whom this is shared as a contributor or as an owner can create a new recording. So what is a new recording? Basically, when you hit this new recording icon, you can then select which process you want to actually do this recording for. And then what is happening in the background is simply this application is launching the desktop recorder from Power Automate Desktop. So now it appeared on my second screen. I'll just grab it here. So for those of you who already work with Power Automate Desktop, this is something you should be familiar with. Yeah, just a password. So this is just the desktop recorder from, come on, don't be shy, from Power Automate Desktop. You know it, right? Nothing really new. And so once this pops up, what you have to do is to simply start recording and then actually do your regular work. So to do the steps you normally do once you're trying to process and complete your process on your computer. So in this case, for example, I want to register this invoice in Contoso invoicing application. So I need to open the application. Here is the application. And now what I have to do is simply to go to the new invoices, to the invoices tab, then to create a new one. And like all these things that you can see right now, this is just the same approach and the same functionality as the user who would be simply trying to record a new process in Power Automate Desktop. So all these steps, the fact that the specific UI elements are being highlighted with this red border, all this is really just copied or taken from the PAD. So then I will simply copy some information from here. So as I'm clicking on the interface, you can see that all these actions are being actually registered. I can add the comments as well. So then later I will know what I was actually doing. And then I can paste it here. Then I can as well copy another information, and this way, I don't want to send email, I just want to copy it. And the amount was, yeah, for ever. No, sorry, just to be on the safe side. And last thing I can do as well, again, just change this status. I can click save. and then simply close the application. And once I'm done with that, I can just finish the recording. And so what is happening right now is that this recording that I've just done is being uploaded to the cloud because, well, as we deploy to my desktop, everything that we are doing, every RPA process are being kept in common data, in the Dataverse. So I just need to wait a moment. This is what I now see, that this is being saved. And once, this is saved very quickly, I can go to view recording to see what was actually captured. And basically, it's not very important, those very singular steps that I've done. So it's not really important that I have clicked on the new icon, then I have clicked on the field, I pasted data, I clicked on the save button, because the process advisor is working on the higher level. So what is interesting for the process advisor is that how much time actually took us a set of actions. So for example, let's say navigating on the interface of Contoso invoices can be called like creating a new invoice record, and then copying pasting data from the PDF can be called like filling in the invoice record data. So let me show you what I mean. So now once this recording is done, I can actually review all the steps that have been taken by me. Now, important thing as well is that I can review those steps. And for example, if I would like to hide any confidential information, then I can, for example, delete a screenshot so that the reviewer of the process will not have an access to it. Or if I typed in something into any field that I wouldn't like to be present, I can as well just get rid of it, and this information is gone together with a screenshot. So this way I can then review my recording and get rid of all these confidential information I wouldn't like to share. And the last step before making this process ready for analyzing is grouping all these actions in groups basically. And so for example, what the grouping means is that I can either create my own groups if I cannot find them already created, because as more employees are taking part in this discovery process, the more of these groups are going to be created, but they should be used across all the recordings so that the analyzing after that is more precise. So for example, here, what I can say that this document that I have opened in Microsoft Edge, this is the open invoice attachment. Then what I can say, and I can create a new group that could be the Contoso invoicing application. So like this is those three windows, those three steps. Next, I can create a new group that would be create new invoice. And then, like for example, from here, I would start the new step that is called the fill invoice form. And lastly, where it could be, those screenshots are not very precise, but here I was still typing in the values. So for example, here I can say that this is already a group where I'm saving this invoice, and that's done. So these are my groups. So right now I can simply save it and mark it as ready for analyzing. And now if I wasn't the owner of the process, then it is up to the owner of the process when to start the analyzing of the whole recording, so all recordings that are done. So now me as the owner of the process, I can actually go to the details of that process and see how many recordings I have, how many of them are ready to be analyzed, how many of them are still in progress, and so on. So I can just have this overview of how my process discovery is going. And then I can simply navigate back to the Contoso process invoicing, so to the root of the process, and hit this magical button. And hit this magical button that will appear in a moment to start the analyze process. And that was very quick. And so once all the recordings are analyzed, so however how many you wanted, you can go to analytics. And so the analytics is maybe not the heart, but the most important outcome from the process advisor work, because this is actually the Power BI report that is showing you a couple of very important information. And I'll just go briefly once it appears. So there are two tabs, as you can see. There is this process map and time analysis. The process map simply gives you the information on how many different variants of the same scenario are present in your company. I mean, are present across all the recordings that have been done. So for example, imagine that you want to store the invoice in the controls invoicing, but the invoice is coming in a different currency. So like one user is going to first open your national bank account, your national bank page to see what are the currency rates exchanged. The other one will go into Google.com and just grab the currency rate from Google. The other one will use the calculator and so like different scenarios, you can simply accomplish the same task. And with this process map, you do see how many scenarios you actually had. So like, for example, here I have 6 different recordings and actually like three different variants. So each user actually like opened the controls invoicing app, then some of them opened the attachment, the other opened the document, then they have created a new invoice record. And for each of these steps in process map, you see how much time it took at average. And you can then like go through or scroll into the details on which recording you'd like to see in details. Well, like which is the longest variant or the most often present or occurring variant, which variant takes the most time. So we can see that the variant number 3 is the longest because for some reason the opening of the invoice email attachment takes sometimes nearly a minute. And then once you go into the time analysis, you have this deep dive in, the insights information about how each activity, how each group of activities in each scenario actually took. So with all this information, you can like build this kind of a report or build this kind of a presentation that will be then shared, for example, with business, telling them how much time we can save if we automate this process using Power Automate Desktop. What actions are users taking to actually complete this scenario, this process? What applications are being used in this in this process? Like maybe which application is the bottleneck, because it is usually the longest, the step of the whole process that is taking the longest amount of time. Or I know how many users are doing this process the same way, why other users are doing this process different way. And so all these insights that the process advisor is giving you can be actually used to then somehow evaluate the process as it is today, and then make this approach to digitalize it and have this solid numeric information on why it is really worth to automate this process, not the other one. Like maybe this one is not the very good example because you would save like maybe 5 minutes per invoice, but if you do have hundreds of these invoices processed every day, then you would have like 500 minutes that you could be able to save if you replace this process with RPA. All right, so that's basically it. It's not that very big tool. This is how it looks today. It is possibly expecting some new updates in the coming year. So as usually, we are going to have the wave 1, wave 2 of the updates, and we'll see what will arrive.
Yeah, so this is all like already now part of the Power Automate UI?
Right. So the only thing that I didn't actually mention is, you're right, is that if you'd like to try this application, then every user that is going to be involved in the recordings should have the Power Automate with attended RPA plan. I know it's not the perfect solution, but well, until today, the process advisor doesn't have a separate pricing, a separate licensing. I don't know if it will have eventually, but today, if you want to use it, you need to have the RPA with the Power Automate with attended RPA plan, or the demo, the trial.
One question popped into my mind when you were actually commenting a step when you were recording the thing. Does that amount of time spent in the commenting, is it removed from the final processing time?
No, so because when I'm doing my work on the computer and I'm making gaps to comment something, then yes, this time is also recorded. So if I navigate back to the processes and I just like look into details of my last recording, then certainly the reason why opening this attachment took so much time was that because I started the recording and then I was explaining something to you, and this was all recorded. So those, I mean, the time before, between I started the recording and between I clicked the first, I recorded the first activity is also recorded. So you can maybe not here, but I bet there is, or maybe not.
Yeah, I was just wondering because Power Automate Desktop knows that you are actually commenting in that tool, so that could be actually taken away from the.
Maybe the commenting, yes, but I thought that it is also recording, my delays in clicking because I was explaining something, and I believe it does record because like there are like 20 seconds of gap, so possibly those information are actually also recorded. So if you're doing a process and in the same time you're answering a phone call and focusing on a phone call, not on doing the recording, then your recording is not going to be really precise because you will have the longer those time elapsed for the same actions as you would do without the phone call.
Can you actually pause the recording while you are speaking in the phone?
Yes, there was actually the pause recording.
Yeah.
This one I remember that.
Well, I think we are running out of time, Thomas, now because Vesku is really eager to start with his presentation.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
But this
He looks really eager at least.
Really good intro to Process Advisor.
Right.
Yeah,
So
thanks
if you have
a
any questions, just I'll just type in my contact details and you can ask me questions on a chat. As I will try to learn Finnish.
Awesome. Well, you can start learning it by sticking on this channel now that Vesku will be having his presentation in Finnish. So.